Good morning, brethren. You're welcome to my channel. My name is Pastor Yemi Omogboyega. With me is my wife, Pastor Mrs. Mary Omogboyega. Thank you for listening to our channel. Thank you also for those of you who have already subscribed. If you haven't, kindly subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share our videos, press the notification button so that you get to know when we upload new videos. God bless you. I'm not preaching, I'm not sermonizing, but I want to, as my own contribution towards the development of Nigeria, I'm going to talk about the topic which says protests bring about development. Protests bring about development. Now, let me start by sharing the dream I had. I'm just waking up. I woke up around 2 a.m. and I think this is about past 3 now that I'm recording. I just woke up from a dream, and the dream went this way. I saw myself coming all the way from Oshodi. I'm supposed to go to a place around around Ikeja, beyond Ikeja. Those of you who understand Ikeja will know. You can board a vehicle from Ikeja, from Oshodi. You can pass through the normal airport road and so on and so forth and go through the heart of Ikeja, then go to Ikeja Industrial Estate, and then, or you can actually pass through, you can board Agege Moto, veer off after the airport bridge, go to the right, and you can enter the heart of Ikeja, and then from there to Ikeja Industrial Estate. And then from there also, you can go straight towards Agege, go to Penn Cinema, and enter through that channel. Come back all through to Ikeja. However, during that dream, even though the airport route is shorter, I just saw that the vehicle that we boarded took us straight past Agege, and then we have to board another vehicle to come back to Ikeja. That's a long way anyway. However, it is still a route that gets to where we are going to. And along the way, as we came down from the first bus, we entered the second bus. That bus was full. And then as we were about to move, there was a plain-clothed policeman who stopped the vehicle. And, it was like he won't let us go for one reason or the other. Himself and the driver, they had, you know, something together. And as they were going about the arguments, some people came down and so on and so forth. They resolved that, and then we started moving. And as we were moving, we encountered these cow sellers along the route to where we were going. So when we got to a spot, the cow seller was like, he felt we were disturbing him. And at any point, there are many. Along the road, the cow sellers were there. So as we were going, we were encountering them, but we encountered one. This one, by the time we got there, he wasn't happy that we were passing through. And what happened? He then was angry and started punishing everyone that was passing through that place. And, and the punishment was so severe. It's like he will hold somebody by the neck and shake the whole of his body and then the person will be groaning in anger, in pains, and so on and so forth. And that was unpalatable. So at the end of the journey, we managed to get to where we were going, but I wasn't happy. I was wondering, I said, why are these people discriminating like this against other people? And we, as we landed, we got what we wanted to get, and we headed back home. And when we got home, the first thing I did was I just brought out my recorder and I started recording my protest. I brought out my pen rather. I started writing to the newspapers about our experiences as we went to, you know, about to go and do whatever we want to do, how we were discriminated against, and how we were punished, and so on and so forth, just for passing by. So that angered me that I made it a press matter. So, in protest, so that everybody will know, so that we should stop discriminating against one another. So I was at that spot of writing. I was actually writing the piece when I woke up, and that reminds me about what is happening in Nigeria. That reminds me about what is happening in Nigeria and even in the world at large. And that leads me to today's topic, that is, protests are good for development. Um, you could see from that dream, whatever it may mean, we need to be careful about any form of discrimination. Any form of discrimination, whether it is tribal, whether it is racial, whether it is religious, whether it is sexual, whether it is whatever nature of discrimination it may be, we need to be very, very careful about that. Because if we are discriminating against under any platform, under any disguise, what will happen is that there will be protests. Protests. And protests are good. For instance, the outcome of my protest, press release or whatever, publication, would be to bring an end to that discrimination. That is why I said, and by the time I achieved that everybody stops discriminating against each other, then life will make progress. There will be peace, there will be harmony, and there will be progress. That is exactly what protests are about. It's about to bring about progress. However, the nature of the protest must be properly defined, and the key word here, the core value here, must be that the protest must be a peaceful one. A peaceful one. A peaceful one. Whether it is in form of writing in the press, blogging as I'm doing now, or or either blogging, writing, or even rallies, just like Nigeria just experienced. If it must achieve the purpose of progress that protests are meant to achieve, then it must be a peaceful and well coordinated, well organized one. And in the process, not even a single pin belonging to either the country or to the individual we're protesting against, or the reputation of the people we are protesting against. We must not damage anything. Nothing must be damaged. And there are various types of protests that are necessary. I'll give you an example. When I was young, like I always give the example, I observed that in my family, poverty reigned, especially financial poverty. And where that reigns, you know that progress will be difficult there. Development will be difficult there. For instance, you have a family where you don't have educated people, where they are just struggling, to survive. And then, what was my reaction to that? I protested against it. I said, this is something that I noticed in my family, and I must break that jinx. That's a protest. I challenged it, and I started looking for ways of overcoming that poverty, financial poverty, intellectual poverty, and so on and so forth. So I have to protest that, look, if it is like this, I cannot live this kind of life. I want to eat what I prefer to eat, not just what I find. I want to fast when I want to fast, but not converting hunger or not converting lack to um, a fasting. No, 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 no. No, I want to live in the type of house I desire. I want to at least own a vehicle or two that will be useful for me, that will move me around. I want to be able to train my own children. I want to also contribute to the progress of members of the entire family so that at least we can make poverty or lack in this of this lack of these basic things of life. I want to make sure that I break that cycle. And what first occurred to me was like, okay, first of all, thank God my mother introduced me to God. We were going to church and doing everything. And at the same time, to God be the glory. My mother had a good vision for me to go to school, and I intended to go to school no matter the obstacle. To God be the glory. I keyed into that also. That was the first strategy. Knowing God is the first strategy. Number two, making sure that nothing stops me from breaking that barrier, that is bending down to work. I have to bend down to work. First of all, work at my studies. And then by the time I get to career, I could get a career that will profit me. And not only me, but the entire vision I had, my entire family. So all these things I had as a vision, and I pursued them. And I thank God I'm not a billionaire today. I'm not counting anything in terms of, but I am not living the type of life that the generations before me lived. I give glory to God. And today, to God be the glory, I was able to also train my children. We are able to train our children, beyond our own level. So we give glory to God. This is how, you see, if I did not protest that thing, life my own life would have taken the same pattern that I met. And if I refuse now, for instance, to also put my children on a better pedestal, their own lives we would have been recycling the same poverty. And I give glory to God that that's over. Not only that, within my families today, the question of uneducated person or this and that, I will believe that it is all over, especially with the generations after me. So the idea of lack of education, lack of all these things, they ended up, and our lives are getting better and better. So that's progress. I protested what I meant. That's why it is very important that we all protest whatever we need to protest. Now let's begin to look at the analysis of what I meant. Yeah, please give us the.
The ongoing protest, the future protest.
Now, I want to break it into two. You have the ongoing protest. The ongoing protest. Under that one, there are protests that we have seen the outcome. There are protests that are still ongoing that we are yet to see the outcome. Secondly, the future protests. I want to assure you, brethren, that life without protests will never make progress. If you don't challenge the status quo, your life will not be better. And if we don't challenge our governments, our lives will not be better collectively. So, protest is a continuous thing. And without protest, life will be boring. And in fact, leadership will be doing whatever they like, whether it favored the masses or not. These are the reasons for protest. When we see do you know that a simple analogy is this? You are driving, and on the motion, you leave, you remove your hands from the steering. What will happen? The vehicle will be heading towards wherever it wishes to, it faces. And many a time, it will not go to the intended place. You have to protest by saying, no, this is where I want you to go. Take me to safety. Take me to where I'm going. You'll be directing it. That's what protests are. And therefore, protests are the essential part of life. Now, let me take the idea of the ongoing protests, or the previous, let me even say previous, ongoing, and future. Now, what we are protesting in Nigeria, you remember, let me start from the Ali Must Go era. The students were protesting something, the better care for the students then. And that's why you have student unions and all that. It was the student union and so on that were protesting the Ali Must Go saga. We may wonder, what was the outcome? No matter how we look at it, the government was sensitized that something was going wrong. But unfortunately, like I said, any protest will bring about development must be peaceful. That protest was not peaceful, and many lives were lost and who are the people that are making protests not to be peaceful? They are the people who are not law abiding. Then let us take another protest, the June 12 protest. The June 12 protest was, people had voted and they made their choice. And shortly before the announcement of that result of the elections, that would have ushered in the people's choice of presidency or candidacy, the government in power then decided to annul the election result. And unfortunately, people had to protest because they were unhappy. If they did not protest then, I'm sure we would have held several elections and it would have been a precedent, an easy precedent for any other government to follow, that you just organize election, kangaroo election, and you get to a point, you annul it, and people will just, so which means that the voice of people will not matter. We know that today, the outcome of that election or protest, it was bad at a point, but what is good about it, because it was hijacked, let's look at it that way. It was hijacked. Let's look at what happened. about that. Now, the government of the day then was sensitized that look, when we vote, you should respect our choice. You can see that the candidate of that election then was saying, give me the people's mandate that they have given to me. That one. And since then, no government had ever dared to try such a thing. We've had elections, several elections after that, and we have that's a good one now, that at least when people are voting, their votes must count. Is an outcome. Then, like I said, the demerit of it was that it was hijacked and people lost their lives. It's unfortunate. That's one thing. The outcome was not 100% good. It was good, at the same time it was bad. But the message was that you, government, we put you in place, you must respect our views. And June 12 came to stay, to the point now that you have June 12 as the Democracy Day in Nigeria. That's part of it. And June 12 also brought about the unification of Nigeria. That was the first time that we had, as at that time, the freest and fairest election that was attested to by everybody. But unfortunately, which the government turned down and which led to protests. I'm sure, like I said, no government will want to organize election now with the aim of just playing around with the people. Now, June 12, there was also, let me also take another protest that has helped Nigeria. There was a time that the NUPEG people were protesting about fuel hike and all that. Do you know that it was as a result, that was during the late Abacha's regime. It was that protest that brought about the establishment of NNPC filling stations today, where you still have differentials in pricing today. Today, as at today, people are still enjoying the proceed that came out of that protest. Because what the government said then was, okay, instead of doing what the people were protesting, they were holding the government to ransom. And everywhere, then government started rolling out tankers and establishing filling stations. And today, instead of those ventures to go down, they are expanding. Now, thank God for the outcome, because today now, the prices of, or the price of PMS from the NNPC stations are cheaper than the ordinary market. You can see it has created competition, and you can now see that, there is profit from what happened there. Even though, like I said also, lives were lost, people struggled and lives were lost. That's the bad side of it. If we can only organize protests in such a way that it will be peaceful, we wouldn't have had problem. The progress we recorded would have been untainted. Now, the other protests, we've had several protests. Look at this latest one. So far, so good, but it still took the pattern of the old one, but in a lesser way. In a lesser way. The advantages, or let me first talk about the disadvantage. People lost their lives, thank God, but the magnitude of people that lost their lives this time around cannot be compared to the magnitude of those who lost their lives during the June 12 protests, during the Ali Must Go protests, during the fuel price saga then, when the Nupeng people, went on strike. People lost their lives. But this one, people lost their lives. No doubt about that. Because a single soul matters. I'm looking forward to the day in Nigeria where we will have a protest that will be so peaceful and nobody will lose his or her life, and then no lives and properties will be lost. That's still the focus We haven't got there yet. But let's look at the good side of it. The good side of it is that the people's voice were heard. Yeah, the people's voice were heard, and the government was shaken to its bone marrows, and the presidency started taking some action. Let's be fair. They started taking some actions even before the protest came about, but it helped to quicken some of the things they are doing. It helped to ginger them. It helped to put them on their toes that we are not pleased. Like I said, yes, some of us did say that, oh, this government would have been given time to do the yes, that's a reasonable thing. But it's a pity that government is a continuum. And if you allow the present government to go to sleep and run their own time out too, they might not get it. We might not make progress. So far now, we are seeing a lot of progresses made as explained in the president's speech. President Bola Tinubu says speech. And whether we like it or not, that speech would not have come about if that protest did not take place, because we wouldn't even know what government is doing. Whether he's getting it completely right, or he's not getting it, or he's getting it partially right, or he's on the course, we know at least that the government is doing something, because that's not the end of the year where you expect a president to address the people. It is that protest that brought about that address. And we are able to know that, okay, the government is trying to resolve the issue of food palliative, which we are all saying now. Palliative is not the solution. Of course, teach me how to fish and you fed me for life. But give me food, give me the fish that you caught. Immediately after I finish that one, I will be troubling you again. What we want is a permanent solution, and we are able to see that the government is taking steps that will lead to having that permanent solution that will help us. That's the good side of the protest. And then if you look at it also, you will see that the government is able to come out to say, okay, we are doing this, on agric, we are doing this on the farming, agric, we are doing this, we have done this, we've done that. And two, they are able to give us the state of the nation as far as our debt portfolio is concerned, that we are spending as much as 97% of our total income in Nigeria to service indebtedness, giving no room for even the development or the various cushions to the inflation that we are talking about. But we're able to know that, we're happy to hear that, okay, that figure has come down to about 60 something percent, maybe about 68%, which means we are now having at least part of what we are using to service loan before will now be used to address some of the issues that we are facing. So protests are very good. You can see the outcome is that, unfortunately, the aspect I'm looking at today is that I'm looking, like I said, that's my goal. Because when you are doing something, you should be having a goal. The day we will hold protests that will be peaceful in the real sense of it, that will lose no life, neither will we lose properties. We are yet, because when we are losing those things, it's a setback. But that the government has listened, that the government is talking with us, is a good one. So that's progress. So protests are very, and then I want to talk about the various levels. You see, the protests we are having now is about hunger, about fuel subsidy, about end bad governance, and so on and so forth. Yes, everything centers around ending bad governance. Well titled this time. But we must be realistic. And I want to tell you, the real protests should start with us. Me, I told you earlier, I protested the poverty I met, and by the special grace of God, I am able to advance beyond where my parents are. So the protests should come, should start with us. Please, let's have those categories of protests. Let's have the few lists of the protests that we need to hold. And it has to start with us. Yes.
Internal protest, family.
Now let me categorize this into two. We have internal protests. Internal protests that is start with individual, you and I, defining what we want for our lives and pursuing it in such a way that it will not cause problems for the society. Two, which one is the next? The family. A moment. The family protest, that's the internal. The family, you see, where husband and wife will sit together and plan for everything they want to do in such a way that they will be productive and useful to the nation and to themselves. All right? And that will start with the leadership of the family. The man in the house, the woman in the family must have a defined goals and strategies with which they want to achieve those ones. I'll give examples later. The next one. That's still internal. Which other one is internal? The leadership in the family too. We're talking about the family now. The leadership in the family. We'll talk about that. What's the next one?
The civil servant.
Now, the leadership. Thank God we have the end bad governance now. Protest. That's one. All our leaders from the family, from the head of the family, husband being the head of the family, and then even from the larger family, from the head of the family of each family, then the community, and so on and so forth. Leadership. Then let's look at governmental. Leadership is not limited to government. Now let us look at the leadership protests that of necessity must always take place. Yes. Leadership.
Civil servant protest.
Leadership in the civil servant, the civil service. Leadership that will show good example and deliver on its mandate. Each ministry will deliver on their mandate. Yes.
Protest in private.
Private leadership in the private sector. We've heard of organizations. Look at one big organization now, manufacturing beverages, was taken to court, and only to discover that what they claimed they were producing for the health of the society was actually destroying the health of the society. A very prominent organization. So, that organization is led by a board, having the chairman, the board of directors, the managing director down the ladder. Telling us if we cannot take the word of such an organization for what they claim to be producing, then the nation would have been dying, which means the nation will be producing children, but this organization will be killing them, making money. That's bad leadership. Because if you have the right thinking leadership, that will not happen. Next one. That's in the private sector. Yes.
Protest in religious circle.
The religious circle, thank God, that has begun a long time ago, but it came really open in from 2017 till date, and the battle is still on. Where do you have the greatest corruption in this world? It is the religious circles, led by the church, followed by other religions. There is no religion today where you don't have corruption. Everybody is after money, money, money. Instead of leading the people to God, we are leading them, we are destroying their destinies and reshaping their destiny for the worst. You see, thank God that is going on and it's having effect, positive effect now. If we don't protest what these religious leaders are doing, in fact, there is nothing that the government could do that would have good impact. These people have placed themselves in the position of consumers. Go and labor. Everything you do must come to us. We wouldn't do anything other than to talk to you and say we are preaching and say we are introducing you in Christianity, for instance, to Christianity. We say we are introducing you to Christ, but indirectly we are killing the people. So unless there is protest, now you can see things are taking shape in the Church of God. Yes.
Protest in diaspora.
Now external, let's look at, there are other, leadership in clubs, leadership in communities, leadership in everywhere. We have looked at that. If you look at that one now, you see that there will be no progress unless we change from there. Then now leadership and the external sense. Now another interesting thing is just a week ago or so, there was this report in the net of some international gang ups and that intended to use a well-known Nigerian to further the interests of betraying Nigeria. Thank God that that man spoke out. Look at it. That man spoke out by coming to the public and say, this is what they say I should do. Preparing everything, the agenda, just for me to put my name so that it will carry weight. Until and unless we begin to have people like that, you see, internationally we'll be oppressed. Look, it has to do with this Dangote thing. Dangote wanted to produce inside there. They are discrediting him. And then the international organizations are trying to discredit Dangote. But they are using that to save their own, because when part of the crude oil is processed here, the rate of employment in their countries will be dropped. And that rate of dropping there will now boost the rate of employment in Nigeria. Not only that, prices of fuel will be competitive in Nigeria. Then, but apart from even our own people here that should defend us, that should protect us, who are the leadership in the oil industry to protect this guy, they too have said their own, that he's producing a substandard whatever. That argument still rages on. This man now protested. If he didn't protest aloud, that's where protest is good. I know that this argument that is going on, as the Lord God Almighty will move Nigeria forward, because I know that Nigeria will settle for nothing other than for Nigeria to produce and refine its oil here. But those who are profiting their international, they are conniving together. Thank God that that man spoke out. If he did not speak out, we would not have had it. So you can now see international. So protest that we should have now, for instance, peaceful one that we should have, is the one that will come to government and stand by the government and say, we stand by you, whatever you will do to produce our oil here and refine our oil here, so that our people will be employed. And we're not looking at Dangote as a person. We're looking at the benefits that his efforts will bring to Nigeria. If we stage that project. How nice would it have been if that had been part of the demands that these recent protesters added? It's a major one because that is where prices of fuel are supposed to come down. I know corruption is still there. Those who will not want it to come down will still be fighting, but they will lose. And then another one, international organizations that are receiving diluted money from here because it's profiting them. You see, these are the protests, both at home and in diaspora, that we should have united together and be protesting, backing up the government, giving them direction, mandating them to protest. You see, this this without protesting these things, we, you think that the rich people who are milking money from all this oil saga, you think that they will willingly release it for common man to have? No, nothing good is got easy. You have to protest. If you don't protest, you won't make it in life. Every struggle that you are making is a protest. And when you protest, you challenge the status quo. You will advance. Your education is a protest against poverty, against intellectual poverty, against financial poverty, against whatever. The battle between husband and wife. I mean, look at the leadership. Let's still talk about the leadership. Women are now clamoring for more positions to be allocated to them in the National Assembly, in government. They're asking for certain percentage. What is that one? Protest. If they don't talk, nobody will talk. And what we men are now telling them is, sorry, you don't get it on the platter of gold. If you want to be a political leader, join politics and do what people are doing there to get to the place where you can influence it for the better. Women are protesting now. Women are protesting against the bullying. We are protesting against child bullying again. We are protesting against so many things. So we have to be protesting. If you don't protest things, okay, let me tell you, you buy a land. What you are doing, you are protesting against your landlord because your landlord is ready to keep you there forever. But you are protesting. Because of that, you say, I want to own my own house. I don't want to be paying rent. Then you're going to buy land. And you go to the land, you paid, and you start developing. You meet that place, a forest. You are protesting against that forest by destroying everything there and then replacing it with a home of your choice. If you don't protest, nothing will happen. If you don't lift your finger, your life will not be better. You send your children to school. It is for their own tomorrow to be better than your own, number one. It is for them to also feed you or make your life comfortable when you are old. It is also for them to be able to build the society and take care of their own children so that progressively it's a protest against poverty because it's the poverty that is the bottom line of everything. So protest has no end. We have to continue to protest. Now, let me look at the individual side. I did mention, I say it starts from the family. Any child that is brought into this world that is not shown the way to develop or not allowed to go to school so that the mental state, the intellectual state can be sharpened so that he or she can be developed to the point that he can interact well locally and internationally. Or any child that the parents are making effort to do that for and the child drops out of school, go and check the villages. People that are left there, the youth that are left there, most of them are the dropouts. Those who are sharp among them, who caught the vision of a better tomorrow, they will go to their nursery school, primary school, secondary school, they veer into university, and then they graduate. They don't come back to settle in the village. They can build houses there, remembering whom. They can be spending money on the community, but they will not reside there doing many jobs that will not even pay for their feeding, talk less of building them homes or talk less of taking care. It is these ones that dropped out of school. They'll say, you can now go and learn a trade if you don't have anything. So we, every individual, every child must protest against poverty by defining what you want in life and then pursuing it until you get it, so that your life may be better than the lives of your parents. That's very important. That's the typical example I said I did. I hated some things and I protested against it. And today there is progress. I pray for every one of you, youths, who look, they are talking about no employment, no employment. I'm telling you, it is because our reasoning faculty is paid employment faculty. The best thing in this world is that when you are creative and you can add value, people are ready to pay. And employment is there, surplus. It is those who can think outside the box. But if you are the type that is the consumer in the consumer club or the president of the consumers club, that you want to be eating without working hard to get there, without adding value, you will ruin yourself and nobody will be able to help you. You will be protesting not only end SARS, you protest end governance, you protest end hunger, you protest all those ones. You'll be joining them to protest. Yet, even after when progress would have even come from the protest you are participating in, that progress will elude you because you don't have value addition to your life. And once that one is not there, forget it. So those of you who are dropping out of your schools, you are making a costly mistake. That thing that made you not to finish your school will make you not to do well in whatever skill set or trade that you go for. You cannot be a good entrepreneur without having something upstairs. No. And it is education that will help you. Then you should also protest against mediocrity, in the sense that you have to be careful. You have to know your God. That is the bottom line. Because it is God that can lead you step by step as to what you can do. If you don't have the fear of God in you, you will misbehave. You will be anxious to do what you should do tomorrow, today. Very, very vital. That is at individual level. And then you have to protest against greed, covetousness, wanting to have what other people have without doing what they did to get there. Ojukokoro, ole. You have to protest and stop all this nonsense. They will never make your life better. So you have to do something about that to make your life better. Richness is not destined for a few. It's destined for all. If you work, you labor, you are educated, you work, and then you know how to put things in the proper ways, you need God to reveal the secret to you. Deuteronomy 29:29. Secret things. Your destiny is a secret thing to you. You need to discover it through knowing God, and God will lead you step by step. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. The purpose of the Bible. If you are familiar with the Bible, you can never be indolent. You can never be a lazy person. You can never steal. You can never cheat. You can never live a wayward life. You can never put luxury before your life, thinking that you want to enjoy without working. You can never be dependent upon anybody. You will receive helps that God will send to you, and those helps will be meaningful. You will use them judiciously, and you will use them to add value to your life, and you will create value, you will give to others that they will pay you for, and boom, you have left poverty behind. You have to protest against selfishness. So many things to protest, but above all, I think what you should get most is integrity. Integrity is everything. You don't want to owe somebody without pay. You don't want to steal. You don't want to live an immoral life. You just want to be advancing in something good. You will love. Not only your God, you will love your neighbor as yourself. You will love your family, you love your community, you love your country. So that's about the then at the family level, like I tell you, every family has the head of the family. That head of the family. Look, Africa. Some people have taken the title of the head of the family to mean lord it over everybody. That everything that belongs. You see, what is called family is us, we, not I. You are only the head, you are their messenger if you don't realize. If you do anything against their will, anything you must do have to be discussed and you carry them along. If you don't, you will always run into trouble. Can you imagine, for instance, a family has property and the head of the family starts selling them without consulting with others? We have myriads of cases of that. Why? These things, we should all sit down. This is how we want to apportion it. Everybody takes his own portion and he's happy and the family is united. What is dividing family today? Families are the greediness of the head of the family sometimes. Apart from the greediness of the followers, I know some followers will not follow. All these things are there. But at least there's what you call majority. When you're able to rally them around you and you have majority, your decision is binding and it's likely to be fair because everybody would have debated it. And those who would have been greedy amongst you will be sidelined because their opinion will not count. So we need to be redefined. And that is why we need to protest against greed, protest against selfishness. As a family. Then corporate identity of a family is important. We should all recognize the fact that as we have individual identity, we have corporate identity. Every family, especially the heads amongst them, or especially those who are advancing, must remember that they should bless the family or their relatives so that others from the same family will make progress in life. Wives, for instance, who are the managers of the entire family, should help to build the family rather than scatter them. There are two categories of women now in this world. Bible itself confirms it. There are good, there are bad women. There are builders, there are destroyers. A good woman builds his family, but the bad one scatters it. So we all need to protest against all forms of evil. Now, I've talked to the leadership at the church level. We have seen that is yielding report now, good results. The church, people think, contrary to what people are thinking, that people will no longer go to church. Even as it is, if people don't go to church anymore, Christianity will advance because people will know God by themselves, by reading the Bible. You see, they took us captive because we didn't study the word of God. Laziness destroyed us. My people perish from lack of knowledge. We didn't know what God wants. That's what I always say, for instance. Let's just single out tithing in the church. Where is Hebrews 7, 8, 9, 10? Where is Hebrews 7 verse 22? Where it says the old order is gone, the new one has taken over. Why are we still being subjected to the Old Testament Malachi 8 to 10 that you should tithe? You see, we are twisting it today. It's no longer, even when Hebrews 7 verse 5 says that when you were paying the tithe, you were paying it according to the law, and the law has been jettisoned. A new order has come that is sureteed by Christ, verse 22. And throughout Christ's ministry in this world, he never took tithe from anybody. He never took it. Neither did his disciples take it. Where do our GOs get the idea? If not that they are willingly exploiting us by citing Malachi 3:8-10 to collect money from people. Thank God that those who will repent amongst them are repenting. Maybe you are seeing the strategy now. When the tithes and everything will no longer come in, you know what they are doing? Some of them are going to motivational speaking, traveling all over the world, collecting money. That's legitimate. They are now adding value to other people's life before they can get money. Not sitting down in one place, collecting tithe, collecting first fruit, collecting everything, and then creating additional headings that by the time the church goer looks at it, he will no longer serve God because he will see it as oppression, which is what has happened. And the other side of it that people are protesting, which you must continue to protest about, is that church is not a place where you just give. It's a place where the church will give back to you. That was what the Bible taught us. That was how Christ fed the people, his disciples, what they thought. They sacrificed what they had to feed the people. They collected from people and gave back to people. 2 Corinthians chapter 8. And they should stop yoking the people beyond what they want to give willingly, and stop lying that if you don't do this, this will happen to you. If you pay tithe, blessings will happen. If you want to be blessed, work. It is universal principle, Deuteronomy 28:10-14. I will send my rains at the right time. You will be a head and not the tail. I will bless all the work of your hand. You shall be blessed so much financially that you have no need to borrow. Instead, you will be a lender to many nations. So, where did they get that? And they use that to want to destroy. But I tell you, people are knowing better now. To God be the glory for social media. People created this social media. You know how many value addition, even if it's just an app that you can develop, especially you young ones, app that you will put on this thing that will profit humanity. You can make your money from it. So be a thinker. Just like someone will say, your thoughts becomes your thoughts become your words. Your words becomes your habits. Your habits, or your words become your actions. Your actions become your habit. And your habit will determine where you get to in life. If you have good habits, you make it. If you have bad habits, you lose it. May that not be our portion in Yehoshua's name. Let us all begin to think. Protests will be unending. If you don't challenge the status quo, nothing will improve. That's why I love my children. And when they challenge me and say, Daddy, this is how we see it, it helps me to think deeper. The only advantage I can have over them is hindsight of experience that I had. Maybe that will make me to, I'm having something that when they challenge me, I see that, okay, there should be another strategy of doing things. But when you have children that instead of even challenging you, all they are doing, they are waiting to collect what you have. Collect, just bring. Not even adding value, such that even when you die, they cannot stand alone on their own. May we not have such children. Children should. That's why I love children that are craving for independence. not the one that you have to be pushing out, pushing out, and they will not want to go. Instead, they will fight with you and they will make you enemy, you that has labored over them. That's not the right approach. That's not the kind of protest we are talking about. That is rebellion. So we have to know how to protest. The government itself should protest against the people. How? You are creating problem for us by bringing rearing children indiscriminately. Thank God the 21 governors in the northern areas now in Nigeria, they are working hard they have started talking at least. And I pray that they carry it out. If they do that, we will have less of Boko Harams, and then the few children that will come will have quality of life, and they will contribute positively to the society. It's a great sin. The government should protest against us. When President Buhari told the youth that Nigerian youths are very lazy that time, we were all angry. Everybody was angry. But it's a fact. You are looking for paid employment. He said, look, for your information, no more employment in the government. And the private sectors, organizations, they are downsizing. The only way out, the only avenue for you is to think, pray until you record a breakthrough that you can do something that people will pay for. That's where we are. So government should protest against us. That's why I said if I become the president, assuming I'm interested, the way I will start is the population control. 45 million in 1960, 230 million in 2024 or 2023 rather. Is it that we are so thoughtless? And then we are now seeing the repercussion. We are saying it is the government, it is the government, it is the government. Nobody wants to think. Palliative is what we want. It's a stupid reasoning. You see, the two principles that the Lord gave to man is you shall be blessed and you shall be a blessing. And God has given us all the blessings, everything you need to be creative. To creatively put together, to get all the monies you want to get in this world, to make life good for yourself, is already there. If it is farming, sow, it will yield. If it is the skill to sing, it will yield. If it is counseling, counsel, it will yield. If it is motivational speaking, speak. If it is preaching and teaching, teach like Rick Warren. Apart from the few errors of these our daddy geos, they all work hard. I'm telling you, it's a pity that they now use you as a source of income. But even if you stop giving them money today, if they will cut their costs according to their side, they can never be poor again. It's a pity that they capitalized on your ignorance. It is part of the smartness. You know the value they think they are adding to it. They say they are adding Christ to your life so that your life will be better, so that you make progress in life. But they are milking you, taking the little they say, go and have faith in God. And then they have steady source of income coming from you, identifiable source of income. Stop giving the something today. Those who are wise among them will never go poor again. Because these people are smart. They are investing. Are you investing? Okay, assuming they even take 10% from you, what do you do with the remaining 90%? The 90%, can it guarantee your future? Do you train your children? Do you have investments that will pay you later? You don't want to put money in something that will bring money. That's the principle of wealth. You put your money where it will. You will experience terrible challenges there. Those who bought shares years because they know what it means now that it's a loss. If you buy land and the land is defective in title, you will lose. That's why Bible says, scatter your bread upon the waters. The ones that will yield will yield. The ones that will fail. But all the same, you will not fail. The reason you won't fail is that you are not facing one business. If you have 10 business and 5 failed, the remaining 5 will pay back for the lost ones. These are the things we need to think about. Starting something and invest in diverse ways, not just one side. In those days, all we pursue, we go to school, we gain employment, and we build a house, we are eating, and then we retire. We are collecting pension. Pension that will be eroded by inflation under 5 years. And once life goes miserable, for it not to be so with you have other sources of income that you have invested while you are alive. You will now say, how do I raise the money? Opportunities are there. It is how to know how to tap them and where to put them. This is the challenge every one of us. How to turn the little in your hand to a big one. For every money you have, it's a fruit. Inside that fruit is a seed. Eat the fruit, sow the seed. That is, invest no matter how little. Then thinking about where to invest, another challenge. Go to those who will mentor you. It's a school. You go to school of anything you want to do. Invest and then practice them. The Lord will help us in Yahushua's name. Now, as I said, what I'm just saying is that protests is what we are talking about. If you don't protest, you won't make it in life. If the government itself does not protest, we people, we will continue to put them in disarray. Now, part of the protest that the government is doing now is, of course, what is EFCC for? What is ISPCP? They are protesting against corruption. You stole the money, it's a criminal offense. Criminal offense does not have termination. It doesn't expire. Even to the point of your grave, if you have amassed wealth fraudulently, the government will still recover it. It's a protest that we cannot continue to take this. So fuel subsidy is a protest against the people who are milking us. Don't let them use you. Join the government to protest. As the government, then when they put you in an office, stop stealing there. Stop saying it is a national case. It's not a national case. You are assigned and given a mandate. Thank God now that some of our assemblymen are now coming up. The other day, I was so disappointed when the National Assembly person, one of the committee leaders in National Assembly, was saying they should bring Adeola Fayehu for publishing the amount that the lady that they are earning in National Assembly, that they should bring her to Nigeria to come and tell us where she got her figures, and that they didn't earn up to that. But what are you earning? Nobody is talking. All we are after, all the people are crying for, let us know how much you are earning, so we can judge that by the performance that you are delivering in your constituency. You didn't tell us how much you are earning. You are not earning what they say. It's a lie. Then tell us what you are earning. Thank God now, out of the pressures and protests, thank God for the allegation, even though the National Assembly says it's false. Very good. Ex-President Obasanjo said that the assembly are assigning money to themselves. They said no, it is not so. We know now the truth that it is not so. You brought the evidence, so we now know that you are not just slicing money for yourselves. Then on our corrupt people, let me tell you, there is nobody that is not corrupt. That's the reality. It is where you find yourself and how you manage the resources bestowed under your leadership. Trading accusation about who is corrupt, who is not corrupt. That's why I don't support the idea of saying, okay, let's Let's leave progress and begin to probe. Continue to probe and at the same time be making progress. That's my own something. That's the truth. Hey, President Obasanjo is corrupt. Yeah, yes, he could be corrupt, but if he has not been caught, he's still innocent in the eyes of the law. Everybody is innocent in the eyes of the law. Oh, President Tinubu is corrupt. Have you caught him? But any day any of them is caught, then bring them to book. And if you search everybody, there's nobody who is not corrupt. I'm telling you, nobody who is not. There was a minister, a petroleum minister, who was so transparent and everything, but he was given a gift of wristwatch or something. That was counted as corruption against him. That would have tainted his image. All our the previous minister that stole money, did that. You saw them, you collected them. Let us be collecting them back. There is nobody who is not tempted to be corrupt. It's like you put banana before the monkey. He will dip in his hands to take granite. A monkey, if you want to catch a monkey alive, put granite inside a god. That is what do you call this calabash that has narrow neck. Put granite, they will smell it and he will put his hand. He will grab the granite. His hand will be full. He will want to pull it out. He won't want to pull and he won't want to drop there you will catch it alive. Everybody is like that. There's nobody. Did Christ not say there's nobody that is good? All we are saying is all people at the governing level, let them deliver, let others eat, let them develop, let them be able to actualize their destiny. To say, you have seen what is happening in the church, epitome of corruption. That's the place you call the house of God. Thank God, God does not live in those houses, but inside our hearts. Do we allow the God to live in our hearts? Christ taught, said, leave all your rituals. Matthew 23:23. Leave all your rituals. Love your God, love your neighbor as yourself. What do we practice? We practice the opposite. And that's why the world is like this. Ministry of Humanitarian, and you put a woman there. That's a round peg in a round hole. Because you expect that the woman will have affection. But she stole them more, even better than a man would do. So who is not corrupt? But if you catch them, just bring the thing back. At least we are told part of the monies recovered is what we are still spending now to give to our governors. They are denying again. Only God knows where the truth is. By the time you people we are protesting, we want to know how much is given to the government. We want to the government. We want to know how much is given to the local governments. Interestingly, the one I'm hearing about Ibadan, the local government say we pull out of Algon. Then we are signing our government. We are signing our governor. We will be under our governor. Supreme Court, if not part of which we should protest the stupidity. I'm still expecting that matter will go back to the Supreme Court and the local government leadership, that because of wanting to put their loyalty under their governor and the governor that is harboring them, this thing is a new development and is a good one. Can the Supreme Court make a judgment and then a governor say, or some group of people say, no, because we know how to do our own thing, we will not obey? That is where the corruption is. There is something inside that meets the eye. We need to address. There should be protest. People should protest that thing. That matter should go back to the Supreme Court to address it in a way that we put finality to it, that any pronouncement, you don't even need to, is implied. You can only appeal to God. So it is protest. A wife is maltreating the husband. The man I mean, the wife, yes, the wife is maltreating the husband. The man decides to send her packing. A man is maltreating the wife. The woman calls it quits. So it's a protest. So let us welcome protests in our lives. It helps us to see better. It helps us. Thank God for social media. What is social media is? Social media is a protest against all other media that we ever had before now. Many of the things you are seeing now, how many of them would you have seen on television, regular televisions? But now that God has made it that, as I'm speaking now, this is my own television station. I can air my view, you can air your own. So the truth is coming out, and the world is advancing. May God help us. So protests are good for development. I expect our youth now to start protesting that this Dangote refinery must stay and must work. The ones that are not working must be revived. New ones must be built so that we have competition against Dangote. So in the process, you will see that, then they should protest against the international community. The government should protest against the church. There should be a way that they will be accountable for what they are doing. There's so much lack of integrity on the part of our GOs. Boastful, reckless, truly they would have been above the government. They would have been the people directing the government, because if they would do right. But when their own houses are stinking, which is human anyway, but any one of them that is caught, bring them to book. Selling all that things in the church of God, when Christ says, my house is a house, my father's house is a house of prayer, not a house of robbers. May God help us. This is just what I think I can contribute again. This is my own little quota towards the progress of Nigeria and humanity in general. God bless you. Please share the messages, comment, do everything you can to make sure that this message is propagated. Maybe somewhere along the line, somebody will hear and will begin to do a rethink. Let us all begin to practice love for God, love for our neighbor. God bless you. Have a wonderful time.